Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures. Now today, I don't have really fancy boxes for these. I apologize. I do actually have them, but they're just full of paper. Why? Because these are the new resin kits from Succubus Publishing, the makers of the narrative board game Middara. So I went all in on Middara Acts 2 and 3 when it was back on Kickstarter. I actually supported the original one. When it first hit. Actually, I even tried to support their first Age of Eternity or whatever their original pitch was as a very anime-inspired board game in the days after the original Kingdom Death launch. But so Middara funded, it was a very interesting, unique game, and then they had the subsequent Kickstarter to fund the rest of the game. And I thought at the time, well, that looks really neat. And then I found out that they were going to be doing a really quick reprint. Obviously, this is all pre-COVID. And I ended up putting it on eBay, and it went for enough that I was able to go all in on this. So I felt kind of bad that somebody just paid a lot more than I did. But on the other hand, that person was gracious enough to allow me to get the all-in package and get all of the new resin models and the stretch goals and the season 2 and 3 and all that stuff. So as I blabber on about that, what we have today are actually the resin versions of the 4 original heroes, Remy, Zeke, Rook, and Nightingale. So I haven't had a chance to even open these yet. There were 10 of these actually included with the Kickstarter all-in pledge. And I'm sure some of the more hobby adverse board gamers out there are probably going to want to unload this stuff. So if you're a fan of the aesthetic and you dig that kind of Final Fantasy anime vibe to your models, you might want to take a look on eBay, because I'm sure a lot of these are going to be popping up there and on Board Game Geek. As I take a big old sip of coffee. So anyway, here we have Remy in her wings. Casting looks good. I think these were actually done in the US with Trenchworks. The detail is definitely there. She's squinting to shoot her bow. Certainly had to deal with worse, that's for sure. The only challenge that I see coming is in attaching that weapon. Actually, it feels pretty sturdy. Do I want to really play with it and mess it up? Not particularly. And after having fought with Kingdom Death and Astri the Promised and her crazy broken bow, this is actually a nice sign. How big are these models? I've been curious about that. Let's grab our Witch Hunter friend. Not that you're the most anime model I got hanging around, but okay. Proportions look a little bit more true scale, if you know what I mean by that. If you wanted to mix these in with, say, a WizKids human, that totally isn't painted like The Witcher. It's going to be fun trying to get those. Oh, okay. That's just Flash. Alright, fair enough. That is Remy. Are these Reaper bases? Those look like Reaper bases. That's fine. Zeke is next. Take a look at him. And funny thing, as I was saying, all of these actually had boxes that they were included with in the Kickstarter. In fact, I have Remy's right here. So I guess it was easier to ship everything this way, that they had all of the actual resin figures outside of the boxes. However, I do believe that post-Kickstarter fulfillment, if you're interested in getting any of these from Succubus's website, or if they end up in distribution somewhere, I don't know if they will, they are going to come in these nice hard boxes. So you have all of the cards. There's some special items in there. There are the big cards with the background, rules for crawl mode, and much like every awesome resin model, you've got a nice art card included and a handy dandy paint guide. So these boxes are pretty nicely sized too, so you might want to hold on to them. They're probably going to be good for holding on to the piles and piles of cards if you do end up grabbing Middara. I'm quite curious to see some of the stuff coming in Acts 2 and 3. So, anyway, back to Zeke. I like Zeke. Actually, I like the band Zeke. I don't know if that says something about my taste in music if you've never heard the band Zeke. One of the loudest, wildest concerts I think I've ever been to. So he is very punk rock. Of course, almost everybody is in Middara. Kind of comes with the territory. This is interesting that his head is actually cast in metal. Not that it would make a huge difference, because if you're working with resin, you're going to end up priming this stuff anyways. Okay, so he's just going to hold the sword behind him. Hopefully it's all going to fit on that base. We'll find out, won't we? So that is Zeke. This looks like Nightingale. Yes. I was right. I remember. I haven't even opened the actual game yet. Shame on me, right? I just don't know when I'm going to get to have time to play it right now. Notice she has those little spots on her head. That's where her horns go. She's got a tail and a gigantic sign. Where are your horns, lady? Oh, boy. I got a glue on her necklace? Jeez. Well, that's some hardcore modeling right there. Is there a spot for it? I don't even know. Might have to take a look at the box, because that is another nice thing about the boxes, is you've got at least a CG mock-up of what you should be expecting when everything is put together. And finally, we got Rook. Rook and his buddy. What was her name? Sorry. Rook being the elegant hipster that he is. With the hood on. Oh yeah. Rocking that wallet chain like it's 1995. With a magic rock on it, no less. Okay, cool. Sorry being a Esper summon thing that hangs out with him, that is not wearing any clothes and has a giant tail. Sure, why not, right? He also has some metal parts here. A pair of pistols. Because why not? I thought he was supposed to have his big hammer, but I guess that's just on the regular version of him. Well, I'm going to go ahead. I will get these 4 all put together. I'm saving the other 6. As I said, there are 10 models in the Kickstarter pledge. All of them hopefully being available in the near future, if they aren't already by the time you're watching this, at the link down below in the description. But the others that we're going to put up at a later time and date, if they're not already up, are actually all crossovers with other companies. So these 4 are the original OG members of the Middara crew, whereas the other resin kits are going to be all of the crossovers during the campaign. So sit tight, we'll get these put together, and maybe I'll be brave and actually try opening up the boxed game and taking a look at the contents in there. And if I don't, if you guys really want to see what's in the box, let me know, because then I'll have to do it. Yeah. All right. All right, so we've got our core heroes all put together as I push everything else out of the way here so we can take a better look at them. I will admit that they did require a little bit more work than I was expecting. So here we have Casual Zeke. Like I did have to think about that, that is Zeke. His arm, even though I cleaned it out and trimmed it down, still did not want to go on as well as I would have liked. Interesting that we have a variety of materials being used with these models. So Zeke here obviously has a metal head and resin body, and I did manage to keep his cigarette intact despite it being so absolutely tiny. Now, I don't remember what kind of base they came with. I started building like 3 or 4 other things all at the same time, unfortunately, and bases are always of secondary importance to me, and I'm assuming, I swear they came with Reaper bases. That's a 25mm base. Seems fit pretty fine on there. Here we have casual Nightingale. Building casual Nightingale was not so casual. For the most part, everything went together nice and smooth, and then there were her horns and that obnoxious necklace. As far as I can tell, these are actually 3D printed pieces. And they're very tiny, very delicate, and very thin. Are they absolutely necessary for the model? Well, I'd say the horns are. The necklace, I mean, I can take it or leave it. It was kind of a pain to get attached. I had to end up using some tweezers to actually stick that on there. She does fit on that 25mm base too. And then there's Remy. Remy, who I have absolutely no idea how I'm going to base her. No clue. There's enough space for both her wing and her foot to be touching, but that would require her to be on a larger base. This is a 30mm base, and it would look kind of awkward, I guess, but it would be nice to have that extra contact point. I'm really reluctant to have the entire model balanced and perched on just the flat of her foot there. And again, much like Nightingale, we've got these 3D printed parts here, and you can see that bowstring is so thin, and it was a chore trying to get everything lined up there. The quiver, not so much. Her arms and the wings, not so much, but the hands. That was a chore. I would say put those on before anything else. So yeah, I'm thinking if I use a 25mm base, though, that doesn't work. I guess it kind of does. But there's such overhang from the wings. But I guess there's going to be overhang no matter what. Decisions, right? Alright, while I am trying to pin her to a base, let's grab Rook. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple to build. Keeps his balance, he's quite tall, and then his friend, whose name I can't remember at the moment. I haven't even opened the game yet. I've just been busy. I've been so busy with school and other models and trying to paint stuff and real life that I just have not gotten around to it yet. It's a tight squeeze. So the two of them are supposed to go like that from what I can gather. There is a spot, there's a little imprint underneath Rook's arm there between the holster and his hand where her fingers are supposed to go. But the way things want to line up, she's like floating in the air then. And hey, they actually fit. I don't know if that's a 25mm base though. I think that's a 30mm. Ooh. Barely. Just barely. But they're on there, so that's a good sign. Now, as I was saying before I break her necklace and everybody else in the process, I have not actually popped open the game just yet. Rest assured, I will. It's just, there's other things, and I know I'm not going to have time to play it right now. And there goes Remy. Yeah, and that is why I don't want to glue her like that. How big are they? Well, here is a regular-sized Reaper human. A regular-sized WizKids human. And I guess one of the nice things about these is they're all going to be available outside of the game. Me, personally, I dig the models from the game more than these. And those are all, you know, single-piece board game plastic, so there's no worries there. Random Kingdom Death. Actually, they seem to be a lot closer in terms of sizing to Kingdom Death models than anything else in my collection. I'm wondering how they'd fit in with some random cyberpunk stuff. That might be interesting. A little bit taller than a traditional Games Workshop human. But I think if you're getting this stuff, you're probably either going to get it to A, play Middara, or B, just paint for the heck of it. And at that point, you probably aren't going to be really worried about the scales so much. Sorry, Remy, you're just not standing up right now. Overall, I can't really complain. I mean, they were included with an all-in pledge, and I am looking forward to sinking my teeth into that. It's just going to take me a while, but for the non-hobbyists, I can see these being a real challenge, especially the little bits on Remy and Nightingale. Are they impossible? Heck no. I think just go at it carefully and take your time. Everything fits in there fine. It's just going to be a matter of let things dry. I found that's the biggest issue for most people when it comes to building resin models is there's this big rush to try to glue everything on all at once. I'd say for Remy's case, start with that bow and then build your way around it. For Nightingale, I would probably, I would start with her horns, then attach the arms, and then put on the necklace last. For Zeke and Rook, I don't think it's really going to make a huge difference. They're pretty straightforward. And without saying, I mean, as is always the case, always try to dry fit this stuff before you attach it because you never know. You don't want to glob it with glue and then find out that nothing's going to fit there. That would stink. So, I'm going to put a link down below to the Succubus Publishing website where they do have, hopefully, some of these available if you're curious. I know they had some special Valentine ones, even though it wasn't Valentine's Day, that are in the midst of shipping right now. And if you are curious, hopefully these figures are going to be showing up there as well. If you dig the style, you dig the aesthetics, I do recommend you give their stuff a look. With that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities in Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.